Hello, it's Wednesday the 21st of November, and in this video I'm looking at the last two EuroMillions results. I'm going to analyse them and make some predictions based on my analysis. So first of all, last Friday's result from the 16th of November. This was my ticket. I got one number. And then this is my ticket from Tuesday's draw, which was yesterday. Again, only one number. Now, I'll tell you a true story about this result. I asked the guys at work what numbers, and I said, what's the first number that pops into your head? And the guy at work said 42. And when I thought about the fact that I was going to pick number 19, I thought 19 and 42. And I thought to myself, isn't that the year that World War II ended? And then I thought, no, wait a minute, World War II ended in 1945. And then I remembered that 39 stood out with some of these numbers. 39 were one of the outstanding numbers. And then I thought, and it started in 1939, so there's two numbers that might come out with 19. And you know what, when I got home and picked my numbers, I totally forgot about that, and I put these numbers on instead. But if I'd have put them on, I would have got three numbers. True story, but I've got no proof, so you can just ignore that. Anyway, it's funny how little coincidences like that seem to point to the winning numbers. Now, if you watched my last video, you'll know that I was going on about number 19, and if you read some of the comments, then Toffee Free has got some interesting ideas, and well done for getting 19 and 39 together. That's pretty good. Yeah, so that's really good that you got those two numbers. Yeah, 19 and 39, that's really good. And I think you're right, yeah. It might. I think it probably will come out again with 20, most probably 22. And yeah, I did put 19 and 22, and then I picked. So anyway, if you watch that video, you'll know that I've been using a strategy, and I'll show you. Let's say I've got two messages. I'll show you how my strategy pays off. So, see, I put 3 lines on 19 on that ticket, and I put another 5 lines on 19 on that ticket. So in total I won 80 quid. And the reason why I did that is because I'm following this strategy. Now this is my strategy. So basically this is my little one number op pick strategy. And what you do is you pick the number that's most overdue for its frequency, because it comes out more often than even the most frequent number, and so that gives you a little bit of an edge, and you use that with a kind of adapted martingale strategy similar to what's used in roulette. And what you do is you put one line on at first to try and make a profit of £8.50. If it doesn't come out again, you repeat the process until you get to the point where if you did win, you wouldn't make a profit unless you increase the number of lines. So you increase it then to 2 lines after 7 draws, 3 lines after 10, 4 after 12, 5 after 14, then it goes up 5, 6, 7, 8, and if it still doesn't come out after 17 draws, then you start increasing by 2 lines, and then by 3 lines, and then by 4 lines, and then 6, 7, and it keeps going up and up, and it increases exponentially. But fortunately, because the number that is most overdue for its frequency comes out more frequently than even the most frequent number, which at the moment is number 50. As you can see on this chart, there's the most frequent number. Well, whichever number is at this position in the chart, the one with the largest area when you factor in the vertical and horizontal components of each number, whichever number's in this position comes out more often even than number 50. So number 50 has come out 140 times. Guess how many times the number that is most overdue for its frequency has come out? Well, it's more than that. See, this is the number that's most overdue for its frequency. At the moment it is, it's not number 10, it's number 11. Oh, hang on, I'm looking at star numbers. Right, this is the wrong one. Right, the number I'm looking at is, where is it? Where is it? There it is. Right, at the moment it's number 11. So, right, if we count how many times a number crops up in this column, then you can see it's more often than the other 2 columns. Just looking at that, you can see this column is more highly populated than the other. But anyway, so that's my strategy. And it had been 17 draws since 19 became the number that was most overdue for its frequency, and so I was having to put on 8 lines at a cost of £12 just to cover my losses. So if you were following this strategy since the EuroMillions hot picks began, then you would have just gone down from £93.50 to a mere £27.50, and then won £82 to bring your total up to £95.50, which is slightly more than what it was before. So if you look at the difference, it's a profit of a measly £2. So that's the £2 profit I made there following this strategy, which is better than nothing. So I've already spent that £2 I've already spent it anyway, so it just proves that this little strategy does seem to work. Now, right, these numbers are the numbers that I'm probably going to pick in the next draw. I'm not sure about that though. But anyway, right, I'm just going to do an analysis of draw 1164. So let's see all the coincidences that occurred in the most recent draw. Not the most recent one, in the second most recent draw. So, right, number 9 stood out on that. So let's have a look at the chart for set of balls 1. So set 1, just looking at the main numbers. Right, set 1, looking at main numbers. And what else do I need to look at? So set 1, draw history up to 1163. And there's number 9, most overdue for its frequency. So that's that chart, that's the one what we're looking at now. So there you go. The number that stood out was main number 9, because it was most overdue for its frequency with set of balls 1. And then looking at machine 2. So machine 2 and all sets of balls. Again, main number 9, this time most overdue. So that's 2 ways that main number 9 stood out, and it's the same in recent history. And then machine 2 and set of balls 1 together points to star number 12. So if we include the star numbers, then there's star number 12 showing up as most frequent. So that could have been enough to make those numbers predictable. So far 9 and 12 turned out to be predictable from that because of the ways in which they stood out. However, it is only a coincidence that the most outstanding numbers happen to come out. These are all the other outstanding numbers that could have come out but didn't. And if you count how many numbers there are, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 8. So it stands to reason that when you've got that many numbers outstanding, and given that 5 out of 50 numbers are going to be drawn, then logically, on average, you should expect that at least one of these is going to come out, and the one that did come out was number 9 in this draw. So then, looking at numbers paired with number 9, that points to all these numbers, and let's see what coincidences we got. So out of all those, the only coincidence is that star number 1 came out and it was most overdue with machine 2 and main number 9. So I'll show you that on a chart. So there you go, star number 1, most overdue on that. So it's just a coincidence that out of all these numbers, one of them actually was a winning number in the draw. So if we look at numbers paired with star number 1, then looking at all machines and sets of balls, that points to 41. So I'll show you that on a chart. So you can see how on the chart for only the draws where star number 1 was drawn, turns out that if you measure how many times each other numbers come out and look at which draw they came out in last, Then 41 was most overdue and most overdue for its frequency on that chart. So again, it's just a coincidence that that number happened to be drawn in the next draw. And then if we look at the same chart again, but only look at the draws since the star numbers went up to 12, then 41's still one of the 3 most overdue on the main number side, but on the star number side you can see that star number 12 was most frequent with star number 1 on that, so that could possibly have made star number 12 predictable as well. Or should I be looking at it that the other way around? If I look at star number 12 then, see number 1's one of the 2 most frequent on that, so not enough to make it stand out enough to be most outstanding. But anyway, if we look at a chart for numbers paired with 41, then as you would expect, that points back to star number 1. So there's star number 1, most overdue and most overdue for its frequency. So that made it possibly predictable from that. So initially, looking at the analysis for the outstanding numbers and the numbers that the outstanding numbers point to, we could possibly have predicted 2 main numbers and 2 star numbers from that. But to follow that path we would have had to ignore all these other numbers. So the other numbers that came out then, 10, 13 and 28. Well, 10 and 13 very frequent together with machine 2 and set of balls 1. And nothing really pointed to 28, but 28 pointed to star number 1 and 10 pointed to star number 12. So anyway, I've had enough of analysing that result. Now I'm going to move on to the next one. Draw of 1165, the most recent result. The one where I won 80 quid and got some money back to cover my losses and made a tiny profit of £2. So, a lot of outstanding numbers. So, out of all these outstanding numbers, most of these top ones, most of these stood out and they actually were drawn. So you can see how 19 and 45, 19 and 39, weird coincidence there. So straight away, 3 main numbers and 1 star number all stood out, making them predictable. Star number 12, that is. And then if we look at the charts for 19, that points to star number 7 as well. Star number 7 also points to star number 12. Star number 12 points to 39. 39 points to 7. 45 points to 39 and 7. So these 3 main numbers and these 2 star numbers all kind of pointing to each other. There wasn't anything pointing to main number 6 or main number 48. But 6 and 48, 48 most frequent with 6 in recent history. 45 was overdue for its frequency with 48 and machine 2. And the star numbers stood out with 48 as well. So if we have a look at the chart then, so this is the main chart. As it was before the last draw. And you can see that the analyzer picks up that number 19 was most overdue and most overdue for its frequency. So that number definitely stood out, making it predictable. And we've seen the analysis, so we can see what 19 pointed to. Pointed to all these numbers. Now, what I'm going to do now is have a look at the gap chart for number 19. So I don't really need to continue with the analysis of the last draw, because you can see why those numbers came out anyway. But looking at it now that those numbers have come out, now my friend in the comments says 19 and 22, and yeah, I agree actually, because these are the hot picks that I put on. So you've seen these two already. These ones I put on all the time, 16 and 27, because it's the most overdue pair. Now the other one is this one, 19 and 22. So yeah, I was guessing 19 and 22 as well. So you were right, yeah, I agree. Anyway, there's 22, 19's dropped down, and the interesting thing about this chart is that in these top two rows we've got 3 numbers, and then we've got nothing until we get all the way down to it, and then the next 3 numbers are much more spread out, and then you can see how the chart is basically top heavy, which means that there's a lot of numbers at the top and then a big gap, and then the rest of the numbers at the bottom. So I think some of these numbers need to drop down as well. And 22 and 19, I predicted it in the last draw, but the question is, will 19 be coming out again? So this is a chart for 19, and now I can look at the gap chart for 19 and see if that number 1 needs to move across to the left. There's the number 1, and yes it does, because this chart eventually will even out so that the numbers go from left to right in ascending numerical order. And for that to happen, this 1 seriously needs to drop down to the bottom and move across 1 to there, because it will gradually move towards ascending numerical order. And there is a mathematical reason why, which I've gone into in previous videos. I'm not going to go over it again, but basically the theory is that in any number of draws, so say if you have like this number of draws, you count how many single occurrences are possible in that number of draws, then it's much higher than the number of gaps of 2. It's twice as high. It's 3 times higher than the number of possible gaps of 3 that could fit into the same number of draws. And so for that reason, larger gaps occur less often. So in any number of draws, there's going to be more small gaps than large gaps, simply because you can fit more small gaps into any number of draws than large gaps. So what you end up with is a kind of a curve, and I can actually show you the curve, but I've not on this sheet because I would have to load a different sheet, but I've sort of got past that stage now. But anyway, I think 19 is going to come out again, so I'm not going to explain it any further than that. 19 is going to come out again, and it'll most probably come out with 22 which is most overdue with 19. Because also that if you look, got empty column, it needs to catch up. 22 needs to catch up with 19. The one that's most overdue for its frequency with 19 is number 5, so I might have a 2 number up pick on that. I might have a 2 number up pick on that as well. And so if we look at numbers paired with 19 on the analyzer, then we'll see what stands out. So paired with 19, the numbers that stand out are these numbers. So number 5 I notice is most overdue for its frequency with 19 and machine 2, and we're still in November, so it's still going to be machine 2 for the rest of this month, following the current trend. So for 2 number up picks with 19, and the best one probably 19 and 5. Also 19 and 22 because it comes up twice on there, so does number 5. And then possibly we've got 38, 34, 7 and 6. So my favourite's probably 5, second favourite 22. Because 22 is most overdue with 19 and set of balls 1 as well. And it'd be interesting to see this chart because nothing's actually showing up on this. It's probably because there's not many draws on it, so I'll just have a look at the chart for numbers paired with 19, machine 2 and set of balls 1. See if we can see anything on that. Now that's interesting. 27 is one of the 2 that are most overdue for the frequency. So if you count the number of cells in this area, got 8 in that, only 6 in that, 4 in that, 4 in that. So the one with the most is this one. We've got a choice of 2, 23 or 27. And if we go back to the analyzer, you see there's 27 standing out with machine 2, set of balls 1. It's also most overdue in machine 2. So 19 and 27. You see the 27 doesn't show up on this chart down here, but I know that it's there because look at the chart. In this cell here it doesn't say 27, but if this cell was filled in, it would have said 23 and 27. So 27 and 19, very good choice. So number 5 as well, paired with 19. And then that points to these numbers. So there's my favourite pair, 27 and 16, because it's the most overdue pair. So I'll be picking 16 for definite to go with 27. And then on the star number side, not entirely sure which one to pick, but I noticed that number 10 comes up a lot, and it comes up with machine 2 as most overdue for its frequency in recent history. It's also most overdue in general and most overdue for its frequency. So let's just see what that looks like. So there's number 10 on that. Most overdue is star number 5, most frequent star number 12. And then in between we've got star number 8. But when we look at all machines and sets of balls, and just ignore the main numbers for a minute. So just focusing on the star numbers, and we'll look at that in recent history since they went up to 12. See, there's star number 10, and then the other ones that stand out: star number 3 most frequent, star number 4 most overdue for its frequency, and second most overdue for its frequency, star number 8, which stood out with machine 2 and set 1 as well. So number 8 most frequent on that when looking at full draw history, but we're not looking at full draw history on that chart at the moment. At the moment we're looking at that one, and on that chart, on the main number side, number 20 stands out as most overdue for its frequency, and also see there's 22 at the top and 11 as well. Now they don't show up on the analyzer either, so we know from looking at the chart that this one is 11 and 22. So anyway, following this strategy, looking at full draw history, so following this strategy, it's now telling us to put one line on number 11. So if you want to continue with the one number up pick strategy, continue to make a profit, and then it's pointing to number 11 now. So I'm going to add number 11 to my little list of numbers, and then star number 10, and I don't know whether to go with star number 8 or one of the other star numbers. So I think generally number 8 seems to come up a lot, so I might just pick star number 8. And now I've got 7 numbers, so I can see what coincidences I would get if those numbers came out. So if they did come out, it looked like that, and that looks pretty good to me, so I'm going to put them on Friday. I'm also going to put a 1 number up pick on 11, 2 number up pick on 19 and 5, also 19 and 22 or 19 and 27, and 27's looking good as well, so might have a 1 number up pick on 27, and my usual one on 16 and 27. So maybe I've got too many low numbers. I haven't got one single high number on there, they're all low except the star numbers. But anyway, I think that just about wraps up the conclusion of this video, which has now gone on for 34 minutes, which is long enough. So until next time, bye for now, and good luck in the next one.